Chatfuel School is now in session. Welcome to our weekly class where the Chatfuel team and the top experts in the industry will cover the most important topics you need to know as a chatbot builder and marketer. I'm Andrew, Chatfuel's head of video production.
And I'm Jelena, Chatfuel's key account manager.
So there's this false stereotype out there that all salespeople are like me, the devil. Basically, they're sneaky, they're greedy, and all they ever care about is money. Kind of think like Jordan Belfort from The Wolf of Wall Street. But obviously, truth be told, that is not the case. The most successful salespeople out there are actually good listeners. They focus on building relationships and just delivering valuable solutions to their clients' problems. But obviously this attentive style of sales is easier said than done, right? It takes some practice. So that's exactly why on today's show, we've invited on 4 expert guests, 4 salespeople to show you how it's done using tried and true methods. Now, of course, all of this that we're talking about is in context of marketing agencies. So if you sell marketing services, you know you offer high quality solutions, but you really struggle to convey and communicate that to your prospects, to your clients, then stick around. This episode is one that you don't want to miss. So all of that being said, Jelena, tell us a little bit more about our panel of guests for today.
We've definitely got a highly qualified lineup of sales experts today. One of them owns a sales training company that's worth over $100 million. Another is a former real estate agent turned sales trainer. One of them runs a coffee expert business in Colombia. And yet another sold over $1 million in the first 30 days of launching his product. There's a lot of zeros going on in all of those numbers. In case you were wondering, no, Jordan Belfort is not one of our guests today. Although, technically our first guest did basically get equally successful, just in an ethical way. Andrew, can you please tell us more about him?
All right, folks. So you're probably going to want to buckle up for this one. This is going to be one heck of an introduction. Trust me. So our first guest today is Spencer, and he's the founder of Make It Happen University. This is a sales training company that, as Jelena just alluded to, is worth over $100 million. $100 million, right? It's a lot of dough. It's so much dough, in fact, that Spencer could probably open his own bakery. I know my jokes are lame, but come on. Anyway, it wasn't always this way for Spencer. He actually grew up in a working class family. He wasn't able to pursue a college degree, so instead he found the sales world. Right at age 19, he started selling office equipment, and one of the first deals that he closed, he earned a $2,500 commission, and that was really a light bulb moment for him. He's like, hey, wow, sales is my calling. Now fast forward 10 years and he closed another deal, a much bigger deal worth $2 million. And this was a deal between some farmers in Brazil. And what's most impressive about this $2 million deal is not the deal itself, the monetary value, but instead the fact that Spencer didn't speak Portuguese, which is the language the farmers spoke, and the farmers didn't speak English, which is the language that Spencer spoke. So despite the fact that they couldn't really communicate, Spencer still sold them on this deal and closed, which is pretty impressive. Now, he also hosts a sales podcast where he's interviewed some of the top sales minds in the world, including Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, Grant Cardone, and Tai Lopez as well. Now, if all of that wasn't impressive enough, then here's one more fun fact about Spencer. He has successfully climbed both Mount Everest and Mount Kilimanjaro. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. This guy's really impressive. Now, Spencer's first sales tip for us is basically that there are 2 types of sales, 2 sales approaches, if you will. There is the push sell, and then there is the pull sell.
And I believe that if you push sell, you're going out to prospect. You're going to look for your prospects, look for your clients. You're hunting them essentially. Pull selling is where you create valuable content, whether that be on social media channels, through email blasts, through a blog, and that content is valuable to others. they see that you're valuable, and then they inquire to you. So they come to you about your products and your services. And what the difference really is that when you pool sell, people have already made a decision that they want to talk to you, they want to buy from you, or they like what you do. And so there's a much stronger conversion on pull selling as opposed to push selling.
So if you think of your customers like hummingbirds, the easiest way to get them to come to you is by putting out some sugar water on your porch. If you start running around your yard trying to catch them with your bare hands, you're not going to achieve a lot. And obviously it's the best when your customers come to you. So as a marketing agency, think about what is that valuable content you can create that will actually resonate with your target customer. So let's say your agency wants to serve clients in the movie studio niche. What you could do is write an article like 5 ways to sell more movie tickets using a chatbot. And by doing this, what you're doing is that you want your ideal customer to see you as an authority. You can earn their trust, and that way they go from being a cold lead and they become a warm prospect, someone who's familiar with the topic, who's familiar with you, who already has some sort of a rapport with you and your company. And that way they're much more likely to do business with you. But there's another really, really important thing to keep in mind here. Spencer says that using a word like chatbot on a cold audience might not always be a great idea. So whether you're writing an article or pitching or doing anything in between, Spencer says you should always make sure to avoid the technobabble.
So when you're selling something that's technical, remember that who you're selling it to may not be technical. And I'd stay well away from thinking about the technicalities. So let's give you an example. Let's say you're a financial advisor and you've got to talk about a complex or complicated derivatives or investment instrument. Think about what the customer or the client actually is looking for here. Because the reason that they're talking to you is that they have a problem and they want to solve it. They need a desired outcome, and their focus is what the result's going to be. The more technical you get, the more detailed you get, the more complicated it's going to be for the prospective client to understand it. So I'd stay focused on understanding what they want their outcome to be and show them how the product's going to give them the outcome that they need, rather than get wrapped up in something that I call technobabble, which is where you, being passionate about your product or your service and understanding that industry inside and out, wants to share that kind of information. And you know what? It's good that you know it. It's great that you're enthusiastic about it, but you'll lose people when you get technical. You'll confuse them.
So Spencer's totally right here. Imagine that you feel sick, so, you go to the doctor and thankfully they find out what's wrong, but instead of just giving you medicine and sending you on your merry way, the doctor rants to you for half an hour about what's happening step by step at the cellular level of your body, right? I'd be like, hey dude, I feel like this. Just let me go. I want to be healthier again. So the takeaway here is to focus on that desired outcome, in this case, health, rather than all the technical process behind it, right? So going back to that article, 5 ways to sell more movie tickets with a chatbot, you would want to really focus on selling more movie tickets and how you're going to help the client, the prospect, do that, rather than focusing on the chatbot. Any discussion of the chatbot, you'd want to keep it very high level, very simple, very approachable. That's a good reminder that just because you got stuff up here, you don't always have to share it verbally. Now, in closing, Spencer has one more sales tip for us, and that is that before you ever try to sell, you need to establish a genuine, sincere human connection with the person you're talking to.
If you don't build rapport with people, you really don't progress any further. You've got to get people comfortable. You've got to be likable, and you've got to find a way of creating some warmth between the two of you. Because if you do, the experience of working with you, even going through the sales process, will be a lot more fun than not. And so I just see people missing this. I had a meeting yesterday on Zoom. Some company wanted to sell me something. They came onto Zoom at 2 p.m. at the meeting time, and they started off by saying, "This is our company. This is what we do. Okay, can I demo the software to you?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can." But I didn't know who this person was. I didn't know where they came from. I didn't know anything about them. Were they married? Were they, did they have kids? Had they challenges in their lives? Did they ask me anything? Nothing at all. I just knew that I wasn't going to buy. And when you have that type of situation, you know, this lady just spent 10 minutes learning about me, learning about my family, learning about my career, learning about me, and paying attention to me, she'd have made me more comfortable. And maybe I'd have asked her some questions about her. And we then would have gone on to the next step of the process. And actually it would have been warmer and funner, and I'd have been listening more, paying attention more, and wanting to engage more. So I urge all salespeople out there, stop thinking about the money, stop thinking about the sale, focus on building great levels of rapport and pull that prospect to you.
So basically, be like Oprah. You know, she has that warm, engaging presence. And when she's interviewing someone, you can really feel how interested she is in learning about their story and who they are. So the advice there is really simple. Take a genuine interest in your prospects as people, not just dollar signs or your next project, you know. Big thanks to Spencer of Make It Happen University, who joined us all the way from Dubai. And if you want to smash your targets and blow up your sales performance, enroll in Make It Happen University using the link in the description. Well, now we've just finished talking about the importance of building rapport with your prospects. And we actually have proof of how important that is. Here's this great video from TikTok showing what can happen when you don't build rapport and go straight into selling. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
But I have this this mystery box. Basically, the value of this could be huge.
Nope.
If you wanted this, I'd give it to you for $40. 20? I mean, if you had one shot and one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or just let it slip?
I already have everything. I'm a very blessed woman. I don't pay for things unseen.
Okay. Well, let's at least see what you missed out on.
All right.
You could have had $10,000.
Oh, well, I passed on it, didn't I?
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I kind of begged you to take it.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Like,
no, people don't like unknown right now.
are you just kind of salty that you didn't take the box, or?
No, my husband worked for Homeland Security for 15 years.
Yes. This is Deb Lane over at Country General Store. Did you? And there is a young kid, dark hair.
So, out of curiosity, would you guys have taken a chance on that mystery box? I mean, during a pandemic? He could have had a chance if he built rapport first, and he probably would have benefited from doing some brand storytelling and social proof too. You can find links in the description to past Chatfuel School episodes on exactly those topics in case you want to give away $10,000 to a random person. Anyway, our next guest is Stacey. She is the sales trainer at Perry Homes, which is a home building company based in Texas. She used to be a real estate agent herself, but she was so good at selling homes that they simply had to use her knowledge on a wider scale, and now she teaches whole teams of agents on how to close more deals. Why we really especially love Stacey is because we mention food all the time here in Chatfuel School, and she has what she calls a mad love for cooking. She's cooked before on the Food Network. She actually also has her own cooking show on YouTube called The Sizzle, where she cooks her favorite recipes in the kitchens of different homes her team is selling. That's really a fresh approach to content marketing. And also, I mean, considering all this, Stacey, do you want to be my best friend? In case you guys were wondering, now that autumn is here, her favorite recipe is a banana bread brownie with brown butter icing. That was a tongue twister, a tasty one. A tasty tongue twister. So, Stacey's #1 sales tip is that knowledge is key because it boosts your confidence as a salesperson.
And you need to be willing to grow that knowledge every single day. You need to know everything there is about your particular industry to sell successfully, to improve your results. So reading books about your industry, sales techniques, sales tips, going to training seminars, a lot of these are online, but you need to be willing to put in the money and invest in yourself, invest in the time it takes to do all this, but really Grow your knowledge base. When you know everything there is to know about your product, about your industry, you will see a great improvement.
Oh, hey there. Sorry about that. I didn't see you. I was just on the lookout for some knowledge like those books and, training seminars that Stacey mentioned. And since I know you, the viewer, are already involved in the marketing industry, then here are 3 great resources to keep you up to date on industry news and trends. Number 1, Social Media Examiner. Number 2, the HubSpot blog. And number 3, most importantly, the Chatfuel blog. So you can check all of those great resources out in the description below. And I know you already take your knowledge and investing in it very seriously because obviously you are here watching Chatfuel School. So keep doing that and feeding your brain. But let's say that you already have turbocharged your brain with all of this industry knowledge, but after you deliver your dazzling pitch to your prospect, they tell you, sorry, but that's just too expensive. Here's how Stacey says you can respond to that objection.
Say your product is $20,000 more than the competition. Well, how can you filter that down to where it's more palpable for the customer to absorb? Okay, so $20,000, but when you break it down monthly, maybe it's only $150 a month. Well, that's better than $20,000. What if you took that $150 and broke it down even further to give them a daily price? Difference in cost, it's $5 a day. Wow, that doesn't seem so scary compared to $20,000. So make sure that you know your competition in and out, right? Make sure you know your product and what sets your product apart. And then take that price objection and filter it down, break it down to something that's easier to digest. Going from $20,000 to $5 a day, that's super easy. That's okay, that's not a big deal, right?
It's really just like when you go to buy a big ticket item, like a car or a house. And what people really look at is that monthly payment, not necessarily the lump sum they will end up paying in the end. And that's the pro tip for marketing agencies out there. When you're pricing your services and packages, break it down into smaller pieces that are more easily digestible for your clients. Now, Stacey's last piece of advice is to let your prospects or customers choose their preferred method of communication.
And a lot of times we allow the customer to dictate the type of communication, whether it be through text messages, whether it be through emails, or whether it be through phone calls. And phone calls, wait a minute, that's kind of something that a lot of people don't do. And I really think that we need to have a push on that. I think that needs to be a super focus because when you get somebody on the phone, you can definitely hear the emotion in their voice. Texting and emails, it takes all of the emotion out of it. And I think that a phone call is a very meaningful way of conversation that's really not utilized hardly at all.
So don't be afraid to dust off your phone, pick it up, and give your prospects a ring. But only if they're cool with that. Because for me personally, I just prefer texting. It's easier, it's faster, it's more convenient. Whatever you do though, do not hit people up on MySpace because, is MySpace even a thing anymore? Do people use it? Do they not? The world will never know, honestly. But seriously speaking, when it comes to communicating with your prospects, you just need to meet them where they already are. And a great and simple way to do that is ask them, what's the best way to contact you? Now, big shout out and thank you to Stacey of Perry Homes for sharing with us today her super sales skills. If you want Stacey to train your sales team, then you can do that using the link below in the description. Now, I don't know about you, but all this talk of sales is making me really hungry, so I'm gonna make some of Stacey's banana bread brownies. And while you wait for me to get back, we're gonna roll a clip from SpongeBob where Mr. Krabs teaches us another way to counter that price objection using brand storytelling. So stick around for that. We'll be back in 45 seconds.
See, isn't Mr. Krabs such a great brand storyteller? Unethical, yes, but still skillful. Again, you can watch our episode on brand storytelling using the link in the description below. I probably need to get an emoji arrow going down here, considering how often I show down to the description. But let's move on. Our next guest is Jennifer. She's the head of client acquisition at Publicize, a public relations firm. But she also runs a coffee export business based in Colombia called Those Coffee People. When she's not pumping caffeine into her customers, she actually loves skiing, sailing, and scuba diving. So a lot of adrenaline going on there. And one more fun fact, throughout her successful sales career, she has lived on almost every continent. And I really hope that also includes Antarctica. So let's jump into her expert advice. Earlier, Stacey mentioned the importance of being knowledgeable as a salesperson. Here are some other key qualities according to Jennifer.
The 3 best qualities that a salesperson can have are being persistent, being charismatic, and being passionate. I think that's something else that it could be like the missing piece of the puzzle is if someone is persistent and they are charismatic, but they're not passionate, it makes it a lot more difficult to connect with people. If you believe in what you do or what you're selling, other people are going to feel that, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to make a connection with them. So yeah, the first 2 are important, but I would say being passionate about what you do and what you're selling and what you're speaking about is the secret ingredient.
So the secret sauce to becoming a great salesperson is passion. Oh, I'm actually told this says soy, not passion, because, passion is supposed to be the secret sauce, but, whatever, I digress. Seriously though, when it comes to sales, you need to believe in what you're selling. And a great way to test yourself for that is asking, would I actually buy what I'm selling to somebody else? And if the answer is yes, then bravo, you are on the right track. Now, you might be thinking, well, Andrew, all this talk about passion sounds well and good, but I'm a human. Inevitably, I'm going to get tired. I'm going to get exhausted. I can't be passionate around the clock. And that's totally understandable. But you can actually create a fully automated and interactive yet extremely passionate chat experience that guides prospects through the sales funnel 24/7, 365, so that even if you're not there, you can still be selling while you're sleeping, eating, whatever you do, take a warm bubble bath, I don't know. And it's a great, simple way to qualify leads, counter objections, and scale your sales process. So if any of that sounds remotely interesting to you, then be sure to check out the description below to learn more about Chatfuel and how you can use it to boost your sales. Now, in closing, we have one last sales tip from Jennifer, and that is that when it comes to countering objections, you need to address them as they come, one by one.
If you do not isolate specific objections, you might be handling an objection that you think is valid or you think it's the only objection, but it's not. If you isolate objections and you handle them one by one, you're going to be able to get to the end and handle all the objections and convey all the value much better than if you didn't isolate.
So, one objection at a time until there are none left. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for the great sales advice. You can learn more about Publicize and their public relations services at the link in the description below. Now, before we break, we have one really special announcement. The winner of last week's Chatfuel School giveaway is, drum roll please, Rodney Arthur. Congrats, Rodney. Email school@chatfuel.com to claim your copy of Win with Decency, the business book written by Douglas and Lisa Marie, 2 of our guests from last week's episode. Now, here's a question for you guys to answer in the chat based on the 3 qualities Jennifer says every salesperson needs to have. Back in 30 seconds.
So I'd have to agree with what Jelena said earlier, because to me, Oprah is definitely the queen of charisma. Anyway, our final guest today is Bryce. He's the sales and marketing manager at Master of Code, which specializes in AI-powered conversational solutions. And some of their clients include T-Mobile, Aveda, and VaynerMedia, so another shout out to you, Gary V. And Bryce is also the owner of a business called Don't Be a Little Pitch, which helps startups secure funding by perfecting their pitches. But what I think is most interesting of all about Bryce is that he's actually appeared before on Dragon's Den, which is Canada's equivalent of the hit show Shark Tank. And when he was on the show, he put his sales skills to the test by securing over $500,000 in investment for a product that helps people drive more safely. And within 30 days of launching that product, he generated over $1 million in sales. So pretty impressive stuff. Now, here's Bryce's first tip. Start simple.
If a client or prospect wants a simple solution, then give them a simple solution. Don't try to pitch them something complex and more expensive. Us salespeople love to try to get the high ticket purchases, but honestly, if you just solve their problem in that time, whether it's easy and not complex, you'll get that sale, and then you can turn that into a further relationship and upsell them. Some of our biggest clients have come from us just providing band-aid solutions and later on building that relationship and selling more.
So let's think about how you could apply this strategy to your marketing agency. Let's say you offer Facebook ad setup services. What you could do is you could launch a special offer where you design one ad for $1. Or, if you sell custom-built chatbots, you could sell a bot template, one for restaurants or a different type of shop or a car dealership for, a low price of $10. Obviously, these are not the things that are going to make you rich. What they're going to do is they're going to get customers in the door. These are the low ticket, low risk offers that get people to do business with you. They see that you do high quality business. They start trusting you. They see the results that even those small things are bringing them. And then they're going to come back for more. It's, kind of like the motto of Lay's potato chips. Betcha I can't eat just one. I mean, who can? And here's Bryce's last piece of advice. The sales process doesn't end at the purchase stage, so make sure to nurture customers long after they buy from you.
Referrals and word of mouth grows companies, so you need to focus on still building and nurturing that relationship so you get referrals, case studies, and anything that can help spread the goodness and the great work that you've done.
Well, when we're on the topic of case studies, we do have some of those on our blog, like the beauty startup that sold $250,000 within 1 month of launching their messenger chatbot, or the university that generated over $3 million in a single day using Chatfuel, or the solopreneur who automated $100,000 in photo booth sales. I mean, okay, we're just bragging now, but really those are really super useful and show you some new tools you can utilize in your bot. So click the link in the description to see how you can do it yourself. And if you're already that successful and you have so many bots that are generating you a lot of interest, a lot of leads, a lot of income, we would love to hear about that, and maybe you're our next case study. So brag about it, send an email to team@chatfuel.com. We would really love to hear from you. Anyway, shout out to Bryce for bringing his sales expertise to today's episode. You can learn more about Master of Code in the description below, of course. And now, before Andrew wraps up with our 3 actionable takeaways, here's a short clip from Bryce's $500,000 winning sales pitch on Dragon's Den. We'll be back in 90 seconds.
So if you're ready to rake in the dough for your marketing agency, then listen up, because here are 3 actionable takeaways that are going to help you master your sales skills. Number 1, avoid technobabble. Unless your prospect specifically asks for technical details, you should just gloss over them, because you want to sell the outcome, not the process. If you're working with a restaurant client, for example, you should tell them how their parking lot's going to be full, their phone's going to be ringing off the hook, and customers are going to be lined up out the door, instead of saying that you're going to run Facebook ads with the store traffic objective and targeting lookalike audiences. Just because you know something doesn't necessarily mean you should say it. Number 2, create valuable content. This is known as the pull sell that we talked about earlier. You want to create content that's valuable to your target customer. What are they searching for, and how can you tastefully embed your brand into that content along the way? That way, they come to you as warm leads who already trust you rather than you chasing them down as cold leads. And this is exactly what Stacey does with her cooking show. She reels people in with recipes and then casually mentions the beautiful kitchen in the home that she's selling along the way. And finally, number 3, start with the simple solution. It's like that song, Candy Everybody Wants by 10,000 Maniacs. The lyrics go, give them what they want. So if your prospect wants something simple, give them something simple. It might be tempting to upsell them, but once you successfully deliver that small scale project, you open up the door for so many more, even bigger opportunities. So what are you waiting for? Get out there and start selling. You could do this. We are rooting for you here at Chatfuel, and be sure to join us next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Chatfuel School. Thanks for attending class today at Chatfuel School. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for even more actionable and educational content. And don't miss out on next week's class. Click the link in the YouTube description to get a reminder when we go live. We'll see you again next Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific. Happy botting.